What's going on, guys? Graham G.S. Matthews with WhatCulture.com. We got a WrestleRant Radio exclusive today. We're talking the NWA World Television Champion, the Pope, a.k.a. Elijah Burke, a.k.a. the former D'Angelo De Niro. Pope, what's going on, man? You got a ton of names to refer to you by.
Well, to each his own at any given time, at every given day, because you know what? There is actually a difference there, my friend.
Okay.
There is. I mean, yes, there's the Pope. Yes, there's D'Angelo De Niro, but we won't talk about him no more. But, of course, there's always going to be Elijah Burke. And Pope is just a little bit on the turned up side of Elijah Burke, if you will.
Well, we were just talking before we went live here. You're killing it right now, man. You're with the NWA. You're the current TV champion. You got requests of the Yahoo, so to speak, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this one.
No problem, man. As old Mancho would say, the cream always rises to the top. So when you talk about WrestleRant Radio, on here chilling, about to vibe with Graham for a minute or two, hey, man, you at the top.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But always been a long-time fan. Knew I wanted to get some time with you just to chat about the NWA stuff and everything else. But before we get to the NWA thing, got to ask you, because we were talking about this over DM in the last couple of weeks going back and forth, but your charity work, let's talk about that a little bit. How'd that come about? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate that very much, Graham, because a lot of guys, they wait till the end to talk about the charity, and you just showing what type of person, you're showing me why you're that cream daddy that rises to the top, because you're going to go ahead and talk about that now, because above all things, above everything we're going to discuss, that is the most important part of Pope and what I do specifically in helping disadvantaged communities and dealing with the homeless and kids, providing them with all the tools and book bags that are filled with such to help them achieve academic success. So that is what my charity is, the Love Alive charity, over at love-alive.org. You can go over there, you can read about it. If you are moved to do so, we only ask that you donate $1. Obviously, we ask that you, those that can do more, but $1 help makes a difference in the lives of those individuals. And what's so cool about my charity, Grant, that I started, we'll be hitting 10 years come January.
Wow.
We are 501c3, of course, we are legit. But what's so cool about it is that when I get, 400 or 500 people standing in a line, we're not feeding them out of a soup truck. We're not feeding them cold cuts or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. These homeless people gather in the nucleus of homelessness in Jacksonville, Florida, which is downtown, and we feed them directly out of Burger King. Now tell me what other place that's doing that for not just the homeless, but for just those who are in need. Yeah. And we respect and obviously we appreciate all the other charities and any other charity that does so. But we take the money that is donated because, again, we work directly off of public donations. We're not supported by the government. We don't get funds from them. So it's my pocket, and then it's whatever you decide to help my charity along with. And yeah, we put it to good use, man. We have blankets for the people that are on the street. We provide them with such. We provide everybody with hygiene products. Again, like I said, toys for the kids, book bags. We have clothes, we have shoes, and the list goes on and on. So to all of the listeners of WrestleRant Radio, if you have a moment, head over to alive.org/donate. And if you can throw, a buck or two, the cost of a value meal these days is more than $5. So if you just can go give a little something, your boy will appreciate that. We'll appreciate that very much.
Well, that's awesome, man. You said you were celebrating 10 years of the Love Alive Inc. Foundation, your charity. I mean, tell me more a little bit how you got involved with this to begin with.
Well, it's real simple. When you come from impoverished communities yourself, I wasn't raised in the best of areas. I wasn't in a suburb. I wasn't in a gated community or whatnot. And there were times that mom was working 2 jobs. My dad was there. Mom working 2 jobs. I love my daddy to death, but he was a tightwad. when it came to his money. And, you know, just think of this. Think of you being a child and mom at work, or she leaves out for work on a Saturday morning. She puts money on the kitchen counter, and, you know, one of four brothers has to walk to the store to get a box of cereal and some milk. And, you know, when we woke up or whatnot. And so oftentimes I would be, as I'm the baby, I would be the brother that would, you know, go, and hell, we all like to leave the house. So I would go get the cereal and milk, and I would walk up to a place called Winn-Dixie. And it is so ironic that spot, Winn-Dixie, that location is the exact spot across the street where I actually hold my events at and feed the homeless. But as I'm walking up there, time and time again, you have grown men that are looking at a 9-year-old, 10-year-old boy asking for change. Wow. I'm stepping across people who are laying on the side, on the sidewalk, the walkway of this store, and I have to walk around them. Or I'm going to my bus stop to go to school, and here's some homeless guy in the park. And I tell people, always put yourself in their shoes. Now, everybody that's homeless does not choose to be homeless. We have people that are down in the shelters that are coming from battered relationships when it comes to the women's shelter. So they are down there with their kids. So you got women and their children that are standing in line for hours just to receive a hot meal and whatever else that we could provide for them. And then you have folk that have been living in places, they've lost their jobs, especially during this economic disaster and the pandemic that we've been dealing with. So everybody who's homeless, they're not homeless, and I don't think, not homeless of their own, but I don't think anyone would choose to be homeless. So it's that type of mindset going into it that has allowed this whole Love Alive charity thing to come together. I was moved to do so way back in 2012, and like I said, we're going on 10 years come January.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congrats on that. And you mentioned right there the time period that we're in right now. It's obviously more difficult than ever before for everyone out there, just with the pandemic and the current circumstances, all that other stuff. Kind of on the subject of positivity, what is one thing that you would say to people to keep in mind to get through tough times? Again, it kind of relates back to the charity, but one motivational message that you would tell people, listen, this is what you got to keep in mind in order to see the light at the end of the tunnel type of thing, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and that's kind of what I like to refer to when I give a message of positivity. It's the fact that that light is there. It's somewhere. Right now, we all appear to be in such a dark time, and just like those pilots that are in the air or the captain that's on that ship, but you have to keep your eyes, keep your mindset focused on that light. There's a light tower, and that light tower represents hope. It represents the direction that you need to go in. It's going to guide you. So I always tell people to understand that whatever situation that is working right now unfavorably for all of us, which is the pandemic and everything else, understand that this too shall pass. So that's all I like to tell people. Understand this too shall pass. Bad times ain't gonna last forever. The sun gotta shine.
Absolutely, 100%, man, and I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the NWA, too, because like I said, you're the current NWA World Television Champion. You've been there for a little while now. The NWA kind of relaunched about a year before you started doing work with them. I feel like with your style and with your promos and everything, you're such a perfect fit for the NWA, and it's great seeing you do your thing on Power every week. How did we not see you in the NWA sooner is my first question for you in regards to that.
Wow. Well, Graham, that is funny, man. I was sitting back watching. I remember when the first season, when Power first kicked off. Yeah. And I was sitting back watching. I had no real desire, per se, to go to the NWA. But when I was watching it, I was like, this, out of all of the wrestling that we were having on television per week, I could sit through NWA Power, which was just an hour of your time, if that, that was the only program that I could actually sit and watch 100% all the way through. And I'm talking about even the commercials, Graham.
Yeah.
Even the commercials were entertaining, and they are. So I just sat and I found myself becoming, I was so entertained and mesmerized, and it's wrestling presented the way, not that it used to be, only just used to be, but it's presented, in my opinion, that in a way that it should be. And so it's an old school presentation with new school feel, and the guys are able to go out there and just wrestle, work, tell a story. And that podium, as you mentioned about the promos and whatnot, that is one of the most important parts of power of the NWA. And that's what it was then, and that reflects even to this day, because back then when you stood in front of that podium, you were there for a purpose, not just to further your story, not just to further your character, but you were there to sell tickets and to make people want to see what was coming up. And so that's why that podium, to me, man, that's like the holy grail of the NWA, in my opinion.
No, it absolutely is. I completely agree. And like you said, it's something that's unique to them, and it really helps it stand out compared to all the other wrestling out there. And there's a lot of good wrestling shows with all the companies out there currently.
Definitely.
But, NWA is just so different. And like you said, it's only an hour, and we had the recent pay-per-view back for the Attack, which you were part of as well. And it opened up a lot of people's eyes. Obviously, you've been around for a long time, man, and we've seen you on the mic, we've seen you in the ring. You've always been a great talent. Is there anyone with your promos that you've modeled your style after, or is it really just kind of finding your own footing in your own way?
Talking has never been an issue for Pope. That's never been an issue. However, again, being in that situation, as you asked on the last question, and I kind of went in the woods, but I always find my way back out. Sitting at home watching those boys, go out there and tear it up, it made me, my mouth began to water. When I got the call from Lagana, to go to Power at the time, was like, hey man, would you be interested? Hey, let's work something out. Like, let's do this. And I wasn't going in there to wrestle, and I don't know how it always happened, whether it was with them or the former company, down in Orlando Impact. It's like, okay, we're gonna bring you in to talk. We're gonna bring you in to commentate. Okay, we're gonna bring you in to be somebody else's mouthpiece. Pope, we want you to wrestle. And so they always kind of get your boy back. They always kind of draw me back into the ring. But on to your next question about inspiration as far as promo delivery and talk. I think it's a known fact that I flare, and to a lesser extent, but obviously the end-all be-all when it comes to me in professional wrestling, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. So when I went into my Pope swag, that's really when I tapped in to my Dusty, someone who drew me into the business. One of the reasons I'm in the business. One of the guys that allowed me to build that confidence while working with him. Imagine being that little kid that I was just telling you about. On Saturday morning, waking up, you going to the store to get that box of cereal, and you trying to hurry up to be back home so you can catch NWA Power Hour, or NWA Worldwide Wrestling at 9:05 Eastern Time in Jacksonville, Florida. And now all of a sudden, because this is the guy that I'm watching Dusty Rhodes. I want to see Dusty. I want to see the Horseman. And all of a sudden, I'm working in WWE. And guess who's working hand on hand with me? My producer, my guy. That's anything comes down to Elijah Burke. When it comes to him, I got him. You leave him to me. So so then I ended up working with Dusty, and it was just a dream come true. Never thought something like that would happen. One of the most amazing things that happened to me when I first got to WWE, I'm standing in the hallway. And I just walked in from outside into the arena. I got my bags, and all of a sudden I see those orange and brown ostrich boots. And I see this figure with these jeans on and a black shirt. And I say, dear God, here come Dusty. And I froze. And and so I stood there and I didn't know what I was going to do, but here comes the freaking American Dream. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, as he got closer, I go to stick out my hand and shake his hand, and he slaps my hand away, throws his arms around me and pull, his right hand and pull me into him, and he go, boy, put that hand away. I know all about you. Go put your stuff up and come back and find me. You and I gonna make a lot of money together. I'm like, wow. So he already knew what was, because he was one of the guys that was saying we got to get this guy up here from OVW. So, and I want to handle him, and he did.
Yeah, and it's been such a crazy journey, too, dude, with every place that you've been. And the Elijah Burke of 10-plus years ago and the Pope of today are just two totally different people. Like, if you were to put yourself side by side with yourself from even 12, 13 years ago, people wouldn't even believe it, You've just come so far, especially in the ring. Mike, it's just an amazing thing. But last couple of questions for you, man. You were doing the commentary thing, as you mentioned, with Impact a couple of years ago. With this, I mean, with the commentary, was when you were doing that, were you thinking, I always want to get back in the ring? Because you were doing that for a while, and you were very entertaining. So at that point, are you thinking to yourself, I got the itch, I want to get back in the ring? Was that ever the end game, to be back to being an in-ring competitor for Impact at that point?
No, like I told you, you can blame Tyrus for that. That was never my end game. We were talking. I mean, let's face it. Let's be real here, okay? Somebody offers you $20 to get someone to cut your yard, to cut their yard, and they offer you the same amount of money for you personally to cut the yard. Yep. Well, what are you going to do? Me? If you're going to offer me $20, all I got to do is find somebody for you to cut the yard? Well, I'm going to take $20 to find somebody for you to cut the yard.
Of course, yeah.
Less work for me, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the scenario when it came to commentating. We were negotiating Pope coming back in, and all of a sudden Taz ended up leaving, and it opened the door. I did something in that May. I can't remember what it was, but I called the show with Josh, and we settled on that deal. And somehow, some way, it didn't come full circle, but they got me back in the ring because Tyrus kept coming and shooting his own angle and always coming bothering me while I'm on commentary, and the people just was going crazy, and they're chanting Pope, at all the shows, and all of a sudden, we got to get you back in the ring, Pope, at least for a one-off or whatever. Yeah. And what did? They didn't even reward Tyrus. They gave me to Bobby Lashley, who didn't even need it. Yeah. And now it's crazy because here we have Tyrus. He's in the NWA right now, and he's up to his old antics yet again. But to be back in the ring is nothing new. I didn't have an itch to get back in the ring because I never stopped being in the ring. Yeah. I know some people are asking, Pope's retired, he's edgy. No, Pope's smart. Yeah. Pope's smart. Yeah. I'm getting paid to sit behind a microphone, which I didn't mind, because when you're in this business, to learn 4 or 5 different traits of the business, and as a matter of fact, to learn the business in its totality is more rewarding in the end for you. It helps you in your longevity in this business, if you want to be in it that long. Pope's not just a commentator. Pope has commentated, I've managed, I've obviously wrestled, I book my own shows, I do my charity events. I got a big event coming up in Jacksonville on Juneteenth, which is June the 19th, called the Great American Clash. And that's going to, I do it all. I book, I time. There's nothing in this business that I can't do because I've been a student of the game.
I think what people forget is that when you were doing commentary at that point, it almost elongates your career because it's less bumps on the bump card. You know what I mean? Because you're not getting as physical at that point, so you can wrestle longer.
I wanted to be Bobby Heenan. I want it to be to a greater extent Macho Man. I'm behind the desk. That buys me time. That prolongs, if you will, like you said, my career. I wanted to be the Mr. Perfect, sit behind the microphone and make some appearances here and there, still stay in shape, still be ready if called upon. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. That's just smart.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things, too, after seeing you in action, obviously on Power the last couple of weeks, but when NWA was first brought back for the Attack pay-per-view just last month, I saw a lot of people saying, with Pope, they were like, why isn't he on a bigger platform? Obviously, NWA is great, but for like the last couple of years, like you said, there might be the misconception that you've been retired. You've been killing it this entire time, doing your own thing, making money other ways, commentary, managing, running your own shows, charity work, everything else. That's got to be a compliment when you see something like that, right? Like when people want to see you back in a WWE or an AEW or a Ring of Honor or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it's important. Sometimes I look at some of the guys. I recently, first off, let me give a shout out. No friend of mine, but certainly I have respect for him. Mm-hmm. And that was Bram, back for the Attack.
Yep.
When we came back, and you're talking about coming back cold too, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a cold open, if you will, but. We come back cold, and then I have to face Bram for the TV championship, and that guy is. When I was commentating Impact, I would refer to him as a maniacal nutcase. That was the nickname I gave him, Bram. Mm-hmm. I was always big on Bram, the ability that he has, his style in the ring, but that match right there. There was not. I'll say it. I'm not just going to repeat what other people say, but there was no way anybody could come out and follow that. Mm-hmm. It was just in 10 minutes, in just 10 minutes, to go out there and tear the house down with him was wonderful. But to your question, Pope, you're not on AEW. Pope, you're not in WWE. What gives here? Well, a lot of time in those situations, you got to have an end. Mm-hmm. You got to have an end. You heard some people that referred, not I, but other people have referred to All Elite. I've heard this said on social media time, All Friends Wrestling.
Yeah. I've heard that.
That's yep. You got to have an end. Yep. If somebody, you're cool, but that's the way it goes. WWE, same thing. You got to have an end, or you got to become a celebrity in another way, mm-hmm. in which WWE sees it and goes, oh, we can capitalize off of it, because if you're not coming through their system right now, being that they have the farm system that is NXT, and you're not a former world champion that's coming hot off of another promotion, mm-hmm. then the likelihood is, it's just there. So you got to have somebody back there, mm-hmm. that's saying, "Hey, let's bring this guy. Why don't we have this guy?" Because let's face it, those guys, Vince and they're not. Triple H, they're focused on creating their own stars right now, and that's understandable.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, that makes sense. Last question for you, man. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot going on. I'll end it with this. You look at the NWA roster as the current TV champion. You had a match this past week on Power. Going forward, is there anyone from that roster that you look at as a potential matchup and you're thinking, that is a matchup I want to have? Personally, I think you and Nick Aldis at some point would be absolutely fantastic. That's got to be it, right? Is that the answer right there?
There you go. That's it. Yeah. I mean, there's no other point of me even addressing anything else. If I address anyone else, then why am I even there?
Yeah.
So that's it. Nick Aldis, and the 10 pounds of gold. That is what I want. Yeah. I never thought in a million years, I never thought, again, watching Dusty, watching Tully, watching Arn, watching Nikita, watching Steamboat, Stone Cold, or Stunning Steve Austin at the time, and the list goes on. Watching them wear that title, and then for me to come listen, when I won the title, it was business as usual. But I got back to my hotel room in Los Angeles, California. I opened up my phone for the first time since winning it, and my messages were so many, my text messages, that I kept scrolling and I couldn't respond to them all. So I got on social media and I went to Twitter, and when I opened it, the messages started filling up, and then Twitter sent me a message asking me if I wanted their help. Because there were so many messages they wanted to go through and filter, because it was like they thought it was spam. It was so, and then it goes on and on, whether it's Instagram, whether it was social media. So it was business as usual until it became that much more real to me, by everybody's support, by everybody's, messages, by everybody's, just the people sending me videos, they're crying, and it was like, wow, man. So it was really touching to me. It's moments like this. So yes, to go after Nick Aldis, to go after the 10 pounds of gold, that is the end game. And I'm telling you, if Pope steps in the ring with Nick Aldis, this isn't a promo. This isn't a quote unquote work, since everybody's so smart these days. But I'm just being truthful. If I step in the ring with Nick Aldis, I am winning the NWA 10 pounds of gold. I will become the next NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And if I'm able to do that, and accomplish that great goal, I'll be somewhat complete. I'm complete now. I'm satisfied now. But to get that, oh my gosh, that would mean the world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully we get that match soon, but not too soon, because I would love to see that match in front of a crowd, because I think that in front of the NWA audience would be electric, especially with how long Aldis has held that championship. So hopefully soon, not soon enough, but we'll see at some point in 2021. That would be a fantastic match. But Pope, this has been awesome, man. Before we wind down, a couple different things I want you to mention real quick. You mentioned your event on Juneteenth. Where can people find out more about that?
Guys, you can head over to love-live.org. It should be on there, obviously. You can go to my page on Facebook, Elijah Burke, as well as Elijah Burke, a.k.a. The Pope, over on Facebook. And then you can check out the charities page, which is the Love Alive charity, which is promoted on there. And I'll continually be updating you guys, whether it's on Twitter at The Black Pope, where you can follow me, of course, as well as on Instagram at The Black Pope. And that's D as in dog, A, Black Pope. People say, well, why are you the Black Pope? Well, I am the Black Pope because I'm the first of my kind. There ain't never been one. So that's why.
Makes perfect sense.
Right. So there you go. Graham, you've been great, man. You are absolutely a journalist, if I should say so.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it's been a true honor, and a pleasure, I should say, to sit here and answer those questions. I know I wish we had more time to go on, and hopefully we can do it again, man. But to be here on WrestleRant Radio, man, Pope feels like ranting, and you ain't gave me nothing to rant about yet, Daddy. But maybe next time Pope will start his little rant, because there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. By the way, look at me taking over now. By the way, that's Pope for you. Darren Young, I forgot to mention him. Here's a guy that's a thoroughbred, if you will. Darren Young is you can't ask for a better wrestler. Yep. He has all grounds covered. And I was talking to him, and he has his own podcast, and he's shared this time and time again. He reached out over to AEW. Why isn't a guy like Darren Young, on the major platform? He reached out to AEW twice, and he's been denied twice.
Yeah. Well,
that type of stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Anything can change in the matter of months, man. Like a year ago, if you had told me that you and Darren, Fred Rosser would be fighting for the NWA World TV title, I probably wouldn't have
Excellent
believed you.
match.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a crazy world we live in. These matches that wouldn't have been possible a year, 2 years, 5 years ago, we're now getting in various promotions. So it's a great time to be a fan. It's a great time to be a fan of the NWA. People can catch you on Tuesdays on NWA Power on Fight TV. You mentioned it before, your charity love-alive.org/donate. That's where people can go donate to the charity and find you on social media as well. Pope, this has been awesome, man. Like I said, longtime fan. Been trying to make this work for a while, so I appreciate your time more over than anything else.
Thank you so much, Graham.